David felt a surge of freedom as his parents' car disappeared down the driveway. They were headed to the UK, leaving him and his sister Dalvina in charge of the house. The university break had just begun, and the city was theirs to explore. David wasted no time. He called his friends, ready to celebrate the long-awaited freedom. Dalvina, on the other hand, felt a different kind of thrill. Alone in the vast house, she decided to invite her boyfriend over, unaware of the dangerous strings attached to his presence. The stage was set for a night that would change their lives forever. David's laughter filled the Seacliff estate as he and his friends drowned in the euphoria of youth and freedom. Music blasted through the speakers, drinks flowed freely, and the night seemed endless. Meanwhile, Dalvina welcomed her boyfriend John into the house. She was unaware of his sinister mission. As the night deepened, the mood at the house shifted dramatically. John's demeanor changed. The atmosphere grew tense. By the time the moon claimed the sky, the house had transformed into a scene straight from a nightmare. David returned in the early hours, his mind foggy from the night's excesses. The house was eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos he discovered inside. Furniture was overturned, signs of a struggle evident. A chilling streak of what looked like blood led to an empty room. Dalvina was nowhere to be found. Panic set in. David's heart raced as he called out for his sister, his voice echoing through the silent halls. The joy of the previous evening had turned into a horrifying mystery. At the police station, David's hope for help quickly turned to horror. The officer's casual questions soon revealed a sinister undertone. "Wait here," the officer had said before slipping into the back. David, uneasy, overheard a conversation that chilled him to the bone. They were talking about him, plans to finish a job, a clear threat to his life. Realizing the danger, David felt a surge of adrenaline. He made a split-second decision to flee, escaping through a side door just as the officer returned. David ran. His heart pounded as he dodged through alleys and back streets, the sounds of pursuit close behind. He needed a safe place, somewhere to think and plan. His life depended on it. He reached an old warehouse where he had played as a child. It was abandoned now, a relic of safer times. Inside, David caught his breath and began to piece together the night's events. It was clear he was alone in this fight, but he was not ready to give up. The next morning, David ventured into the bank, his appearance drawing stares. He was a mess, unshaven, clothes stained with the night's ordeals. He filled out the withdrawal slip with shaky hands. The teller hesitated, then regretfully informed him that his account was frozen. Confused and frustrated, David demanded to see the manager. The meeting revealed shocking news. His father had closed his account just before leaving. The implications were ominous and perplexing. David's visit to his father's lawyer was fraught with tension. He needed answers, but what he found was a scene of violence. The lawyer, barely alive, gasped out a warning before succumbing to his injuries. Accusations flew as police arrived. They pinned the lawyer's murder on David, twisting his nightmare further. Dragged to the station, David was painted as a murderer, a thief after his father's wealth. The real culprits remained shrouded in shadows, pulling strings that ensnared him tighter. Meanwhile, Dalvina awoke in a dim, unfamiliar room. Fear gripped her as she realized her boyfriend's betrayal. James, under duress, confessed his part in a larger scheme. His task had been to ensure her silence, permanently. Together, they plotted to escape and find David. Their journey was fraught with danger, but Dalvina's resolve was fortified by betrayal and the urgent need to protect her brother. The siblings' reunion was a mix of tears and joy, overshadowed by the imminent threat. James, now revealed as a double agent, turned on them once again. In a tense standoff, he attempted to destroy evidence and sever all loose ends. David and Dalvina, driven by desperation and a newfound courage, managed to overpower him, securing their lives but plunging deeper into a web of conspiracy. In the wreckage of their lives, David found a memory card, his father's legacy. It contained explosive information about a criminal network, evidence that could either save or doom them. Fueled by rage and a need for justice, David planned his next moves. He knew too much now, and there was no turning back. The game was about survival, and he was all in. David moved against his adversaries with precision. Each step was a calculated risk, each move closer to a deadly endgame. He dodged assassins, outplayed traitors, and used every resource at his disposal. His path was a solitary one, marked by danger and the heavy burden of his father's secrets. But David was determined to expose the truth, no matter the cost. The courtroom was silent as David presented the damning evidence. The memory card played, revealing the depths of the conspiracy. Shocked faces turned to those accused. The truth was undeniable. His voice, though strained, carried the weight of justice as he recounted the events that had led him here. The judge listened, gravely nodding, as the scales of justice tipped finally in David's favor. The trial's conclusion brought a wave of arrests and long overdue justice. The conspirators were sentenced, their plans for upheaval thwarted. David and Dalvina, though forever changed, looked to a future where they could rebuild from the ashes of their past. Their ordeal had tested them in ways they could never have imagined, binding them together with unbreakable ties forged through adversity. As David stood looking out over the city that had nearly consumed him, he pondered the capricious nature of fate. Justice had prevailed, but at a profound cost. The human spirit's resilience, the depth of familial bonds, and the stark reality of evil had all painted his journey. In the quiet after the storm, David knew one thing for certain. Life was a fragile, precious thing, and he would never take it for granted again.